Welcome to The Funnel. My name is John Shea, and I'm president of Alignment Group. This is episode number 260 of The Funnel. Sales territory management is essential. Before we begin, I want to remind you to head on over to alignment-group.com/The Funnel. Subscribe and receive a free 30-minute coaching call. Today's agenda, perspective, management point of view, and the sales rep's point of view. So let's start with a little perspective on territory management. So I want to tell you that territory management can be, from a management perspective, a very dicey situation. And I think we know why, right? The minute you start talking about managing territories or adjusting territories, sales reps, they all of a sudden think you're taking something away from them. And to some degree, you might be. You know, territories evolve and change over time. I remember being in a situation where the territories hadn't changed for 20 years, and here I am sitting there managing the entire thing, and I'm trying to figure out, how am I going to efficiently drive business, add more revenue and margin to the pipeline, while at the same time adjusting territories for people that have been in those territories for an extended period of time. And you and I both know that in those cases, there's a lot of stuff that gets put aside or is missing because they've gotten comfortable. They might have their big group of customers, they're generating a ton of revenue or profit, they're doing well. The expansion or deeper dives into different companies or different areas or driving more business is kind of died off a little bit. And you're faced with a challenge. So I'm not underestimating the challenge, and I don't have all the answers as to how and when you should do it. Because I think it does take a little bit of understanding of the team dynamic, the group, who's in the territory, how long they've been there, the collateral damage when you make a change, et cetera, et cetera. I can tell you part of the story. I can tell you the whole story, but it would take forever. So I can tell you part of my story. And one of the things we did, it was one of many over the years that I was in that sort of responsible area to drive business and look at territory management. So we had a situation where I had a fair number of people in different territories that had been around a while. I didn't feel like we were getting maximum benefit from the territory. I was getting numbers, high numbers from the sales rep. So that's your dilemma, right? They're overachieving by the company standards, but you're telling them they're not doing enough in their territory. Creates problems. So I decided my first go at this, and I made multiple changes over time, but my first go at this was to really analyze the territories, look at the business, look at where we're driving business, where we're having success, where we're not having success, and try to analyze all of that and all the reasons why. So I came to the conclusion after doing all this that, and seeing who we were doing business with, the size of the companies, the revenue, that sort of thing, that there was opportunity for a couple of vertical markets. So rather than take somebody's territory and dice and slice and say, hey, you get this piece and it's smaller than the piece you had before because you've had success, I said, we're not going to do that at this point. What we're going to do is we're going to carve out a vertical territory. This is business that we've done well in certain areas, and other areas we haven't, but I feel like there's an opportunity for us to be successful, highly successful, but it's going to require a specialized hand. In other words, somebody fully dedicated to that marketplace, who understands that marketplace inside and out, all of their pain points, all of the things that they go through, the similarities in the organizations. And the only way you can do that is through vertical. So I created a vertical territory and put a vertical rep in. And within 3 years, that territory is one of our most successful territories in terms of revenue and profit per rep by the rep. So I consider it a success. Now, here's what happened with the team. The sales team didn't look at it as if I was individually attacking somebody, right, a person, because they were successful in their territory. They looked at it as, well, the company needs to grow. They see this as an opportunity, and we're all going to have to give a little bit. Reluctantly, but I'm not going to have to slice up a big portion of my territory. So I took a little bit from everybody's territory to create the vertical, right? Because it's spread out through the geography. I didn't hit one specific individual, but I achieved my goal. So my point of that story is for you to think about how you can manage the territory and how you can, and when I say territory manage, I'm really talking about maximizing the opportunity. So I want to give you some perspective after this story, some perspective on what I see with reps. Okay? Reps are creatures of habits just like anybody else. They do what's in many cases in best interest for them and best interest for their company, and the order changes depending on who you talk to. But salespeople usually call on the easiest prospects, the most convenient logistically, okay? The ones they're most comfortable with kind of meeting with, right? In some cases, they might be wasting time and they don't know it. So they're not necessarily looking at, am I getting high ROI out of this account? That's why I need to meet with them. I'm getting low. They could be getting low and it doesn't matter. It's close to the office. And they pick off the low-hanging fruit, the easiest ones to deal with, to drive business, et cetera, et cetera. Now, that's not a negative, it's not a knock on the salespeople. Good salespeople do that, and that, I mean, they can do some of that, but they also drive business elsewhere. So I don't want to make it sound like sales reps are bad. I'm just telling you that creatures of habit tend to gravitate towards the things that are easiest for them to do. And in some cases, if they're driving the numbers and they're making their numbers, does it really matter to them that there's a low ROI as long as they're hitting their numbers to hit their maximum bonus and commissions? Right? And if it's low-hanging fruit, so be it. So just understand that unless they have a territory plan mapped out and they're efficiently managing their territory, some of this is probably going on. And with certain people, it's a lot. With other people, it might be less. So let me give you the management point of view on how to solve this and how to manage territories and understand where the business is coming from, and then place your reps in a position where they're most effective. Okay? And that's what really this is about. This is about making them the most effective. So they probably haven't done a lot of this, and maybe they have, and you might be able to learn something from your rep if they've done this. But I would take my territories, and I'm giving you sort of the cliff notes on this. I would break them down into A, B, and C customers. A customers are your top of the line customers, right? They're the ones that bring you the most money and the most opportunity. They're the ones that need the most attention, okay? They're the priority. So as you go through the territory analysis for a rep, you break out the customers. And you begin to, and I would even say prospects too in this, A, B, and C, and you begin to categorize them. A gets this amount of attention per every week. They get a call a week or a face-to-face a week. B gets A gets a face-to-face every week. B gets a call every week. C gets a call every month. And there's some other things you do in there. And I'm giving you the basics on this. But basically, you're segmenting the territory and prioritizing who you're going to talk to. You're determining which ones get the most attention, which one gets the customers and prospects that get the most out of your team. And then what you do is you look at it and say, okay, does this territory match what I have elsewhere? Or is it out of balance? Do I have a territory that should be producing a lot more because of the size and scope, and I have a rep that can't keep up with it? Then you need to begin to balance out that territory. And I don't think you should make it determining changing the territory based on how much money they make. I think you need to base it on the potential business opportunities and what's being lost, what it's costing you by them not doing it, because they can't, because maybe it's just too big. Then you measure those results. Okay? Now, I gave you a story on how I balanced it out. I balanced it out without causing pain to the entire team. I took a little bit, it's for lack of a better term, death by 1,000 cuts. Okay? And I did that a couple of times. And then when somebody left, if I had a territory, then I started making it right. And someone leave a territory that this person had the territory in its original form. And then as other people left the company, this rep was given more territory, customers, and zip codes, to the point where it was ridiculously out of balance. They left. It was a time when it was a transitional time for me where I was taking responsibility for the whole and they were leaving the company. And I balanced out that territory. I jumped on that opportunity to balance it out. As I took on this new role, I decided it wasn't going to remain the status quo. So I analyzed it and I put stuff back where it belonged. And then I had equal territories, which creates a lot more business opportunity for yourself. And I began to measure the returns on that. So that's the management point of view. The sales rep point of view is pretty simple here. Okay? The sales rep point of view is my way of saying, hey, if I have a territory and I'm a rep, how do I manage it? Okay, so this is how you can help your rep manage their territory. First, divide it up, right, in a way that makes sense to them and makes sense to where they are. Minimize the amount of time you're driving. And I'm a student of this because this is when I first started in sales. This is what we did. We took out the map and we divided up the territory, and you stayed in a section for a day. It's really kind of the same thing. Create a plan for your calls. Now, this is where you can utilize the CRM and a lot of the tools that are available for you. So if you're analyzing A, B, and C customers, then put a plan in place to make those calls and rotate it properly so we know everybody's getting the touches they need to get, that they're maximizing that opportunity. Okay? So it makes sense that if you're helping them, if you're looking at it from your end as a manager, then the sales rep should be prioritizing those calls too, right? And then the sales rep needs to set priorities in the territories. That first thing that jumps out of them in an email or text message or phone call, if they're working on their plan, short of a lead that drops in their lap, because leads are important, and the stats show, if you follow up on a lead real quick, you have a better opportunity. But prioritize your day. Okay? Do the easy stuff first, low-hanging fruit stuff, and then go after the big stuff. But set the priority so they know exactly what they're doing. This is part of the goal setting, right? So they know every day what they're doing to manage that territory. Okay? They need to understand their relationships within that territory and drive referrals. It's a big part of it. So if you have a huge company you're dealing with and you're in with one department, you need a referral to another department so you can get in there and get some business. Or you need a referral to somebody that they know in their breakfast group that might be able to help you drive more business. Okay? Stay focused on the big picture. Understand what's at stake here and manage the big picture. And I hope I'm making sense with that. Okay? Because every day you spend in the field, okay, making calls, you should have top of mind what's happening in your overarching plan for your territory or your area of responsibility. It's tempting, very tempting to lose track of that if you jump to the next thing that comes in front of you. Stay organized. Now in other words, do your paperwork on time, show up for the meetings on time, do the stuff you're supposed to do, stay ahead of it. Don't be sitting up all night doing your expense reports or taking a Friday and holding up somewhere in a coffee shop. And treat every meeting and every opportunity with a prospect like it's gold. They do that, they're going to have something with managing their territory. Thank you for subscribing to The Funnel. alignment-group.com/The Funnel. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter @ShayJohnR, and of course, LinkedIn. Email me, jshade@alignment-group.com. I will respond to your email. Check out my website. Got some goodies on the website. You can download free stuff that might be able to help you in your day-to-day management. Again, as always, thank you for subscribing and keep filling the funnel.